Likely you heard that President Trump is talking about, in fact, intends to suspend all immigration to the United States over the next 60 days as one response or defense of America to the coronavirus. I want to hit the tiny little point that yes, indeed, he does have that authority. It is unequivocal. He has that authority from the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA. It's Section 212, or exact thing is 8 U.S.C. 1182, Aliens and Nationality Act. He has the authority to issue this. It's very clear he can issue it for as long a period as he believes is necessary to protect the people. And the Supreme Court, as recently as 2018, upheld this authority, stating the act exudes deference to the president in every clause. It entrusts to the president the decisions whether and when to suspend entry, whose entry to suspend, and for how long and on what conditions. But leaving aside the legality of the president's order, I just want to make a point about the idea that the president is turning to suspension of immigration to deal with this question, to deal with the challenge of the coronavirus facing America. The world, naturally, is full of viruses. Viruses mutate, they change. Humans have to adapt to new viruses and deal with them all the time. The Jerusalem Post had a story today talking about a researcher. Now, the researcher, to be clear, is from China, but a researcher from Zhejiang University pointing out that the coronavirus has mutated into at least 30 different strains. This is a result of a new study, 30 different strains. And one other little tidbit is I did this research, it's a little bit unpleasant, but just to make the point that we need to be very serious in figuring out how the coronavirus got to America, the novel virus we're all facing, who was responsible, who has to be held accountable. That all matters. But the idea of shutting down civil liberties in America in response to a virus also matters. I'll be talking about that later. But one little point, and just looking into viruses in this world, and I mentioned in a previous show, a close friend of mine got a master's degree is like called environmental toxicology, some horrible sounding thing. But I remember her telling me, going through classes where they were talking about the number of viruses that exist in the world, viruses, bacteria, germs. And she made the point, you're so overwhelmed, you think, how does humankind live for a day once you know about these things? Of course, most of you don't know about them, but the little data point to share with you, the National Institute of Health reported in 2012 that there are 219 virus species, just species, so there are more viruses individually within these species, known to be able to infect humans, and 3 to 4 new species are discovered every year. Other point, American Society for Microbiology reports that there are a minimum of 320,000 mammalian, meaning capable of invading mammals, mammalian viruses awaiting discovery within just 9 viral families. And I only place that before you to say, if we're going to suspend long-term civil liberties in this country in response to a virus because we think it's the most novel thing ever, we need to recognize there will always be another one. They're just part of life on this planet Earth. Last defense of President Trump, or point about President Trump's decision to suspend travel for some people, some period of time to America because of concern about the virus. The reason that downstate New York has the largest by a landslide number of cases and deaths in this country, among the contributing factors were flights back and forth to Wuhan into New York. I am not faulting New York. I know they're having a hard time. I'm from New York. I feel for these people. I want everyone to get better. I want the hospitals to have all the supplies they need and the personal protective gear they need and the ventilators, whatever it is they need. I want them to have it. I want America to provide that. I'm not saying New York is a bad place or the people are bad people, but the conduct on the ground in New York over having Wuhan flights back and forth to Wuhan, in addition to subways open for too long, easily creating the ability to spread the virus. There are all sorts of reasons the virus is concentrated in New York City. And one of those reasons, the Wuhan flights, is another contributing factor to my conclusion. Is a great thing that President Trump decided we're going to have an immigration suspension while we deal with this virus. And that, my friends, is today's First Five.